Good day, everybody. This is Yin Yang in California with Morsels of a Thought number 1395. About 5 more days and I get to 1400. Yay! The hundreds are very thrilling. In Chinese numerology, the 99s are more thrilling than nines. But we're not doing that too much. That's only in 4 days. However, today I would like to have read Cracking the Parenting Codes. It's a national bestseller. How to Successfully Raise 21st Century Kids. Cracking the Parenting Codes. Growing Happy Children the Right Way by Kohila Sivas. James E. Dixon gave the foreword, the absolute motivator. And we were going to be reading Code 9, Controlling Our Minds Through Mind Work. However, my voice is weak at the moment. As you know, so all I can do is a little bit of talk. Oops. Very sad that I cannot read through the book. But at this point, I can talk a little bit about my experiences of how my parents did a good job raising me and how it was hard for them. I know because I watched and I thought, how did they know that they wanted to do this? And it would usually be what was handed down. So, whatever sense you get from your parents, you may sense something and send it to your child. However, according to this book, we're cracking the parenting codes so that there are procedures to do. There are lots of charts to make, lots of schedules to make, and we will be doing a parenting job that has to do with the current time, 21st century, instead of what was done when we were a child. In my sense of timing, I grew up with values from the 1940s because my parents were born in the late 1930s. So 1940, there were 8 children per married woman in the United States. The lifestyle was very different. Cars were very big. There were no seat belts. There were no real fire alarms. People, I don't know if they would smoke on elevators, but there were lots and lots of different ways to live that we don't do today because we do consider them to be obsolete. So while the values are important, the conditions are now considered obsolete. We have different conditions. So parenting takes on a whole new aspect, which is add to our values, add to our sense of whatever our parents gave to us. For example, my grandmother had a sense that she wasn't welcome. And so she brought that to her child. And you can see what that does to me eventually. Well, my parents gave me such a good job. They did a good job on me. And I will say that what people do affects other people, whether it's by accident or not. For example, if you threw away something on a beach, it would affect the experience of the next person. Who wants to see a dirty, empty McDonald's cup on the beach when they're walking along? They feel like there's a tiny urge to pick it up and put it in a garbage bag and carry this somebody else's garbage all along or walk past it. In either case, the experience of walking on the beach is no longer that nice as that for the person who threw the cup. on the beach. The other part of it is even what is unintentional, completely unintentional. If I vomited on the beach, guess what? It would be even worse than the cup for the next person. They'd have to walk around it, they'd have to smell it, they couldn't change it unless the water came over it. They'd have to wait. It changes their experience. What you do unintentionally also changes the experience of the next person. So even when you're parenting, you will sometimes have loopholes that your children will exploit. Well, my parents gave me they did such a good job, but they even gave me a bad experience. Now, what we do is we learn from our bad experiences. We take our bad experiences and take great value from them and know a pitfall to avoid in the future. For example, my stepfather was pretty angry all the time. He worked 7 days a week. He tied his shoes on at 8:20 in the morning every single day, 7 days a week. He had to carry a gun. He had to carry a rifle, not a rifle. He had some kind of gun in his car. He didn't like it. He didn't want to, but he also had to train attack dogs. He had 2 attack dogs at all times, and he had to train them. He didn't like doing that. He didn't want his dogs to have to bite people, but he had to train them. So that made him a bit stressed and tense and angry, and he'd often have outbursts at me. And that was unintentional. To him, it was rage, and he couldn't control that. Well, it's an extreme example, but if a person has a habit that goes to their child absorbs bad habits from the parents, just as the child absorbs information and wisdom from the parents. So you must learn what the right things to do are and try to do them, which is virtue. You will not know every single thing that is important to do. So you do what your wisdom has. You give your virtue to your child. I appreciate my stepfather for teaching me how to fight mentally. I was strong. I He never won. He never won. I didn't do anything. I didn't I didn't I didn't create a ruckus. I was not a rambunctious child, but I had a battle of wills with him forever. And since he was my adoptive father, I had no other father. So he was the one I would look to for guidance. Well, guess what? He also taught me integrity. When you promise somebody something, you deliver it, even if it's hard for you. For example, you do not let your friends down. One time, I had a friend at the swimming pool ask me, "Somebody stole my money. Can you ask your mother for some bus fare?" I get in the car, I completely forget, we go along home. At 7 at night, I remember and realize, Mom, I forgot to ask you for money for my friend because somebody stole it from her locker while we were swimming. And my dad said to me, this is my dad, the same dad. He said to me, "I need to talk to you. You've got to make sure you remember to keep a promise. When you say yes, you mean yes, and you do what you say because you let your friend down. You let your friend down. So never, ever, ever break a promise. If you say yes, do yes. If you can't control it, well, you must apologize. You must thank the universe for the experience. Apologize to the person for not being able to control the circumstances that prevented you from keeping your promise. And ask the universe for help in terms of redeeming yourself. That is what you need to do. Okay, I think I'm done. I think I've said what I wanted to say, talked about vomit, talked about the beach, talked about the bad experiences. I think that's good for today. So today was Saturday series. We're talking about Kohila Sivas, who has given us the ideas about how to create your spreadsheets regarding your children. Every single cell is different. Every cell of your spreadsheet has a new instruction that you need to do. And another cell next to it has the check mark space for you to say whether your child has done it or whether your child can't do it or whether you have to continue to teach your child later on because this is their medium age is not old enough to learn it yet. Today, you don't know how. Tomorrow, you will. My mother used to say that to me when I was an infant. Today, you can't talk, but tomorrow, you will. So that's what you do. Okay, old Kinderhook.